Hey everyone, I missed all of you. I have not posted a video in 2 weeks and I'm so sorry, but I've been working on this vintage market and I've been up every single night trying to get everything ready, and we did really good, and I just kind of want to share the day with you and show you what we brought and how it went. So come with me for another episode of Flea Market Rescue. In this episode of Flea Market Rescue, I'm going to take you along as we do the vintage market. I'll show you what we worked on, what we brought, and how the show went. So you ready? Let's do this. So I've been selling things on Facebook Marketplace thinking that there wouldn't be a vintage fair because everything got canceled from the corona. And then, as luck would have it, I got an email saying that the show would go on. And so we had about 4 weeks to prepare, and there was a lot of late nights. I even seen on their Facebook page that they did a vendor spotlight on Flea Market Rescue, and they wrote, "We are so excited to have them for the first time at the market." That just made my day. So needless to say, I wanted to have some of my best pieces there, so I really had to do some work on unfinished projects, this buffet being one of them. I had started this back in February, and I painted it all white and just never finished it, so it was time to do the finishing touches on it. I made a few decorative pieces for it, and then I did the same finish that I did in a video that had a farmhouse showpiece in it. It was on a furniture makeover video. I'll go ahead and put a link for it so you can watch that video if you're interested. Anyway, I had a lot of people inquire about it, and I ended up selling that piece for $350 that day. I did have a few smaller tables that I needed to finish up for the show too. All of them were in rough shape when I got them, and I managed to fix them and paint them, but then there was some staining coming through, so I just kind of left them to the side and just never finished them. When I seen this first table, I thought it was much larger, but then when I got there, I couldn't believe how small it was, but I still bought it anyway. Okay, so today is definitely the day of the smalls because I thought this table was going to be huge. I asked my son to take his Jeep, and it's pretty tiny, to be honest with you. And then I bought these moss balls today. I thought these were going to be huge. They're not. I thought they were going to be double the size. So, it's just one of those days. One good thing came out of that. The lady who sold me the table told me all about Finders Keepers, which is a really good show that I want to get into. So that $10 I spent on the table was really worth it. Anyway, to get rid of that staining, I had to use Kills on it. Kills is really good to cover up like staining, things that just keep coming through the paint. That's the product you want to use. This table was even missing the trim around there, so I had to cut some pieces, and then I used some glue and then some nails. After I got done fixing the trim, I pulled out a stencil that I used on another project. I'll go ahead and link a video to that. I used it on a small farmhouse table, and I used that same stencil on this table, and it came out awesome. I ended up getting $30 for this at the vintage market. So I seen this beauty on Facebook Marketplace, and I knew I had to have it. I didn't care what I had to do to refinish it. I was going to do it. I had to do a lot of scraping on this because the wood was just coming up. This one is my favorite table. These were all $10. The small table, the oval table with the missing piece, and then this one. This one is just gorgeous. And I did pretty good on repairing the top, but we'll see after we paint it. So after I got done painting this table, I realized that there was even more damage and that I would need to patch it and sand it and repaint it, so I just didn't do anything with it. Okay, although it looks pretty good, I see some things happening here. I don't know if you can see it. This is kind of bubbled up. We're probably gonna have to scrape that a little more, put a little more putty on there, and sand it because we can't have that raising up right there. And then I noticed right here, this here is cracked. This has to be filled. We're gonna have to bust that part off and put some putty there. Then we still have a couple gouges, but overall it looks pretty darn good considering what it looked like in the beginning. And that's what I ended up doing only several months later so that it could be in the show. I ended up selling that table for $28. Now this oval table here, this actually had a missing piece. Yep, see what I mean? There's a piece that's actually missing. So what I had to do was take a 2-part epoxy. I used that on a lot of my decorative pieces, and it's really hard. It just dries as hard as nails. So I kind of molded that to make it look like the rim of the table.
Okay, so I repaired that little piece that was missing, and I think I did a pretty good job here because you can hardly tell that there was something missing there. So I'm going to paint it. It's going to be as good as new.
But it wasn't, and as you can see, there was staining, and so that just sat there with the other 2 tables for months. But just before the show, I pulled out the Kills and I put a coat of that on there, and it got rid of the stain completely. Now that table did not sell at the vintage market, but I sold it like a couple days later on Facebook Marketplace. So as you can see, there was like tons of work that we had to do beforehand. Here's where I'm spraying some mason jars white so that I can make a cute arrangement. I'm going to do a trash to treasure video and show you how to make that arrangement in another video. I'll probably have that out in another day or 2. I'll also include this "You Are My Cup of Tea" sign that I made for the show. We'll do that in a trash to treasure too. Anyway, there's things that you need for a show. And my mom came up with these shutters that we could stand up and hang things off. She's like, you can't just put everything on a buffet or a table. You have to have things that are hanging. We ended up putting brackets on them, and I think that they turned out really good for the show. We were able to put a lot of stuff on them, and they looked really good. We're packing up for the show. The night before, we started packing all our stuff up, and we even rented a U-Haul because we had that much stuff. Luckily, I had my nephew and my sons to help because I'm not as young as I used to be, and neither is my mom, so they were a big help. Well, we're driving on the way to the show. Right, Mom?
Yeah.
You got it? Oh, yeah. This is the pen. One of them. Boy, that's a fuck head right there.
It's 10 to 8, and we're going to get ready to set up here. We got a U-Haul, and we got my son's truck with a trailer. So we're going to start setting up. Good morning, P. Thank you for helping. Appreciate it. So I'm just going to give you a little tour, and here's some of the items that we had for sale and what our booth looked like that day. It turned out to be a really good day, and we sold a lot of stuff. I was really happy that we did the vintage market, and we will definitely be back next year. The Chic and Unique Market, they really know how to run a show. They do an excellent job. They even have people that carry out the furniture to the front so that people can load them up. I mean, it's just very well orchestrated. If you like this episode of Flea Market Rescue and you want to see more episodes, make sure to subscribe to my channel and ring the bell. I'm Kelly Sherry, and this has been Flea Market Rescue.